of expensive. But when you have these sound walls around you, it just bounces that. It not only muffles your sound from everybody else, but it bounces it back at you.
But then doesn't that get picked up on the microphone as well?
No, because it's just like a scientific. Like it absorbs the sound so that you can hear it clearly.
Yeah.
Without needing the headphones.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I'm recording it. I'm gonna listen to it again, and hopefully, right now it doesn't. It's
you honestly can Google them. It's what are they called? I don't know exactly what the professional name for them are, but I know they're like noise canceling walls.
Okay, I'll show you the back room later, which is where Omer does his recordings, and he's got it covered with. Are you talking about those tiles that are pointy?
Yes,
okay.
Those things.
we have that in the back.
Those would help a lot because you don't need earphones when you have that.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I've been recording. I learned this trick about the. I don't know if it's going to work or not for syncing the audio and the video.
It's a funny visual.
It's, yeah. It's a cold open. Hey. So, yeah, that's another thing. Like I listen to all these different podcasts. They've got music. They've got little text. There's so much work to do on these damn things.
Do you know what OBS is?
Yes, I do have that.
Okay, good. Yeah, because a lot of them use that. I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan uses that since you brought that up earlier.
Right, yeah.
And it's a really easy way to monitor everything that's going on your screen, like when you have like all the fancy texts and everything.
Yeah.
On OBS, you can even time when certain things show up. So it kind of is self
that's going to be calculus and differential equations. That's just too much. let me go for quality in the audio. I want to have good content. But thank you for the suggestion.
For sure.
I'll keep that in mind. I do have it, and I've played around with it a little bit. But that's another thing, because for streaming, if you're trying to do audio, you're picking up this one microphone, this other. And I don't know. I can be slow, and then I get frustrated. And
I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So I when I'm making my music, I will sit there for 5 hours in the editor.
Are you ever done with it?
No. Even when it's been distributed, I'm not done with it.
I don't. I hate it so much. I've had conversations for an hour. And I whittle that down to like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of filler words and ahs and pregnant pauses.
For sure.
And I'll go over it 5-6 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this doesn't quite.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like when it doesn't quite like hit you in your gut the way that you really want it to.
Yeah. No, and then there's also the reason why, writers need editors.
Absolutely.
Because after a while, you just go through it. Mm-hmm. Kind of like those little memes where all the words, you have a whole paragraph and all the words are scrambled, except for the first and last letter.
Yes.
Which apparently that's all you need for your brain to understand a word.
Well, it's like they have those tests where it's like, if you can read this backwards, you can read it, then you're advanced intellectually somehow.
Right.
It's like, I think especially when it's your art, because this is art, podcasts are art.
Yeah.
It's something where your brain is trying to constantly add a piece of the puzzle that might not exist.
True.
And there's a sort of perfection to imperfection.
Yes, and I don't know how to answer to that. I can only think of how I used to hate live concerts, like live concert recordings.
Okay.
And now I love them.
Why did you hate them?
Because as a little kid, I guess I've always been a perfectionist in a way. And, you have the studio album, the song that's clean, that has been processed. And I don't know, you with live concert albums, you have imperfections.
Sure.
And then you have the people, the concert goers screaming and singing along, and it took me a long time to appreciate that. And I don't know. I guess now I can feel I'm part of the experience.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see why. I've been a musician since I was 8, so I've always loved live recordings.
Yeah.
Just because of that concept, there's a perfection and imperfection. I love the energy, the difference in energy when something is live and raw, versus when it's just been so edited and, clipped down to fit like a certain idea of what perfection is. It's kind of like, have you seen Rodney's Monday night on Twitch?
No, not on Twitch.
Okay. So, Rodney, he switched over to Twitch because, obviously the pandemic. And so there's, when you would go and see it in person, there was just this hilarious perfection to the imperfection of the show, down to Rodney drunkenly telling a drunk girl to leave.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So it's those kind of little elements that made it that much more enjoyable versus this very quick and concise show that he does on Twitch,
Okay. Which is it's clean. There's no the background. Yeah.
Sure. It's a little more clean. He does it a little more professionally because there's not all these background influences that are going on.
Right. And which one do you prefer?
Oh, in person.
In person, definitely. Yeah.
But also, it's a little harder with comedy because when you're watching people, it's kind of like watching just a Twitch streamer, right? Have you ever just watched someone play a video game?
I refuse to.
That's why.
I refuse to. Which is, as a little kid, I was terrible at video games. So sometimes I just wanted to see what happened after level 3, level 7, whatever. So I would enjoy watching my friends playing.
Sure.
But right now, I refuse to.
Well, and that's kind of what makes online comedy a little harder to digest, in my opinion, is because comics are not used to talking to themselves. They're used to that instant gratification of someone they're either bombing or not bombing.
Right. Yeah. That instant feedback.
Right.
Which there's gonna be a way that you can include. I don't know. Do you ever watch wrestling?
I have.
Yeah. So now they've got all those monitors with people's heads.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's the go-to for me.
Okay.
But I've seen it in I think the Super Bowl had a whole bunch of cutouts of fans. And I don't know how it would work with cutouts, but if you have the monitors with people watching and then they're moving, there's got to be some amount of sound that can be generated by them.
Yeah.
That can be heard by the wrestlers.
It's kind of like a laugh track, which I'm pretty sure Satan made laugh tracks, but
No, but my idea is of maybe not a laugh. A laugh track is always going to be the same laugh track,
right.
The same 3-4 laugh tracks. But I know years ago they used to pipe out the noises that came out of the stock market when they actually had in-person traders yelling, buy, sell, hold, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So they would pipe that sound to different offices, and you could have it in the background.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, but then you have a big crash, like a car accident of some sort. When something starts happening, people start yelling, they start moving, and you're like, okay, what's going on? What's the trade? What's happening?
Yeah, there's a give and take in that situation.
So there's got to be a way for comics to be able to listen to some laughter from back home.
I would think so. I honestly think I think that there is something that can be done that kind of integrates something like Zoom, and to create like a virtual show like that, where people you can you can mute them or not mute them, but everybody has access to a microphone and they choose to watch it that way.
Yeah. Now the problem that I worry about that is then it becomes like a bulletin board where everybody turns into an asshole.
Yep.
Or, it's just, you can't win.
You've had hecklers for all of time, right?
Yeah. But you can see them, and there's the peer pressure of don't heckle this guy. Yeah. Or maybe.
Or you do heckle them and they have even better content.
Yeah, true. True.
I remember there was this one show. It was the last show at Relapse before Relapse shut down the second time. And the very last comic of the night had the best heckler. And it was, I mean, we laughed for like 20 minutes straight because he dropped his content and he just handled the drunk heckler. And you either go with it or you don't. And it's either funny or it's not.
I think I'll never forget one time. I'm not going to say the name of the person, but this girl was on stage. It was during a bit show at Village. And she was like complaining and saying this and saying that. And I could have sworn that she was asking for somebody to respond to her, but the audience wasn't saying anything. And I'm the type of performer that I want to have that interaction where I do want people. If I ask, hey, you know, like the standard improv, can I get a suggestion?
Yeah.
Dead quiet. Atlanta's so quiet and so so polite, let's call it. So
I guess
reserved.
It depends on the venue.
True, yes. And I started responding to her. And then she kind of turned aggressive towards me. And I'm still not sure if she was playing along. And I was like, oh, shit, like maybe she was serious. And maybe this part of it was not something I should have said something to, or...
I mean... I think there's like situations where someone is legitimately offended. Like I laugh when I'm nervous. Mm-hmm. So like if I'm offended or if I mean no, and, you know, it's like I start to laugh. Okay. And so it's really hard to tell if I'm like jokingly offended or if I'm actually offended and I'm just trying not to hurt your feelings.
Right. Yeah, and I guess I laugh too a little bit, nervous or like when I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
If it could be, you know, I've laughed at funerals. I've laughed at
funerals.
Yeah, at moments that perhaps I shouldn't have. And
you know, what are you gonna do?
I remember somebody who had a miscarriage, and I kind of laughed, and I mean, it's a highly emotional situation when you're in situations like that. Right.
And sometimes your immediate response is to laugh. You know, the age-old saying, laughter is the best medicine. I think that comes from a certain place.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure every human that I know laughs at inappropriate times.
I hope so. I really hope so. And I hope people are aware of that and that it happens. And I worry about being too clean and losing our humanity in a way.
Sure. And I'd see that. To me, comedy shouldn't be clean. Comedy should be vulnerable. And when it's pristine and and you think too much or you're trying to control your reaction to a heckler, for instance, it becomes less funny because it's less candid. And, you know, like one of the best teachers I've had was Bob Wood from Relapse. And that's one of the first things he teaches you in an improv class is vulnerability. And people laugh at you when they can relate to you.
Yeah.
And that's something I hold on to.
Absolutely.
So clean. I don't know. I don't like the word clean when it comes to comedy.
Yeah. I some of the funniest stuff. I don't know. I don't know what it makes me when I say this, but when women make jokes about being gross, about being sexual, about, I guess, typically male traits in a way, I love it. It's like, oh, I can relate to this woman.
Yeah.
It's not just like my fart smell of flowers.
I have something I'm going to break your glass house here. Our locker room talk is twice as bad as yours. 100%.
I keep hearing that. I want to hear it. I want to.
Well, then we wouldn't be ladies.
True.
It might be nasty, but it's in our circle.
And I've tried repeating some jokes, follow the flow that somebody, a woman has made some joke about something, and I'll try to follow in that same, and it's like, silence, quiet. No, you're not.
No, this isn't
You're
working.
not a woman. You know, it doesn't work.
Well, and, I think that there's some, like, inappropriate things where it's like maybe you don't quite get it and it was a joke that you're kind of parroting.
Yeah.
And so that again, I don't think that's about clean or inappropriate so much as it is the delivery, because we actually know what we're talking about.
Yes. And I'm just trying to ride the wave, which I hate when other people do that. Like I'll make a joke and then they kind of repeat it. And it's like, come on, man.
Well, trends are real, though. You know, you hear someone land a joke, and you're like, I want to land a joke. I want to do that too. So you just kind of repeat it.
Well, that was a great second half. Maybe we should start with the podcast.
I'm here for the podcast, but I'm also here for the jokes.
Longest cold opening ever.
Look, I'm good with small talk. I don't mind. I'm a hairdresser.
That is fantastic. And all right, so okay. Please indulge my OCD self.
Okay.
And let's get the intro out of the way.
Let's do it.
All right, so hey everybody, this is Miguel Figueroa, host of Dynamic El Dorado Presents, and this is
Sarah Ray.
This is Sarah Ray. Yeah, no, I was going to say that this is the best intro that I've ever said, and I was thinking I'm going to have to re-record it already, but self-sabotage, hooray! Anyhow, I am here about, I don't know, I'll say 10 feet away from Sarah Ray, and I don't know, can you introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Sarah Ray.
Yeah.
I think we've established that. I'm from Atlanta. I'm one of everybody tells me it's unique that I'm a Grady baby.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm an Atlanta baby.
Okay, cool.
And so
I've got a punch card. I need you to...
Well, the big thing is knowing what each city actually is. Everybody just says Atlanta, and then you say, well, what about Bankhead? You know, what about Kirkwood? What about all the sub-cities that nobody actually talks about? That's apparently the tag if you're actually from Atlanta, if you know the sub-cities.
Right, yeah. Wow, and you're getting even more into detail.
Yeah.
Because normally it's like, oh, from Atlanta, what part? Oh, from Canton.
Right.
Oh, from
Gwinnett County.
From Ackworth. Yeah, unincorporated DeKalb.
Like the farthest Stone Mountain. The farthest part. I don't think people realize how big that rock is.
You know Stone Mountain? I'm right behind it.
You have to hike over it. Did you know there's a lake behind Stone Mountain?
Yes, I've been to a wedding back there.
Which is like an hour from Atlanta. So,
well, the joke used to be Atlanta was half an hour away from Atlanta.
Right.
Now it's more like an hour away from Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean it takes you 30 minutes to go 4 miles. So,
sadly, not thanks to COVID.
Right. I'm
loving the traffic due to COVID.
Yes, it's maybe 20 minutes for 4 miles.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm 28. I'll be 29 in July. I am a salon owner. I am a singer-songwriter. I dabble in comedy. I did comedy for about 4 years before the shutdown. Mostly like sketch and improv.
You're a haberdasher? Is that the term?
I think so.
Yeah.
Renaissance woman is what I like to say.
Okay.
And then I make jewelry, which goes in hand with my salon.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I'm wearing 2 of the pieces today.
That's awesome. So that is why I invited you to this podcast. Ideally, it's about the podcast. It's about comedy, everybody. But hey, I hit the jackpot because I'm also. I was afraid you were not going to be this funny.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I'm starting out and I barely know you.
Here we are. You know, they always say that, you know, the prettier the girl, the less funny she is. But I've also got trauma, so.
Oh. Oh, my God. I got to write that down. Well, no, I don't have to because I'm recording this. I heard. I didn't know that. I did not know that. The one I heard was if she's pretty, you tell her she's smart. And if she is ugly or stupid, I forgot what they told me. Yeah. Okay, I remember. She's pretty. She is. You tell her she's smart. Otherwise, you tell her she's beautiful or pretty or whatever.
Interesting. That must be like a man circle thing.
Well, it's one of those little rules, like how old can you date? Well, you take your age, divided by half, and then add 7.
Who makes up these rules? A Kevin?
I don't
Is his
know.
name Kevin?
Could be.
Probably.
I mean, they used to send these by fax.
Oh, yeah, well,
I don't know.
You know, you might need to get rid of your fax machine. We're in 2021 now. Did you know that they have an app where you can take a picture of your paperwork and it just scans it into like the cloud and it'll just send it to people?
You mean take a photo and email? Yes. Well, there's.
I don't think that fax machine Kevin's going to be on there if he's making rules that sound like that.
Poor Kevin. I hope he made his money and he invested it wisely.
It's like the people who are like, when you go on a first date with a girl, you're supposed to wait like 3 days before you text her, or you're not cool.
Right.
Is that the same guy? Did you get a fax for that too?
Yeah, it's from the same guy.
Yeah.
Fucking Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin will steer you wrong.
Right. And like you open the door for her, and then she gets in, and if she doesn't unlock the door, if she doesn't unlock your door,
What?
she's self-centered.
What?
I think technically that's from Bronx Tale.
I have never heard that rule ever.
It's well, it's not. It's is it a rule? It's more like
an expectation. Is that?
No, not an expectation. Like in China, like you don't serve yourself; other people serve you.
Oh, okay. It's an unspoken agreement. It's an
one of those. Yeah.
Like if you there's a somewhere in Southeast Asia, if you eat your whole bowl, it's rude.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing. If you eat the whole thing.
Right. So no, and that's in America too.
What?
Like you're supposed. It's proper etiquette. If you go to somebody's house, you leave just a little bit of food so that they know that you're satisfied.
Really?
Yeah, because if you eat everything, it indicates that you did not serve them enough food.
I don't. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take your word on that one.
And I don't remember what they taught me, but I do remember when I graduated, they had like a day or two of like etiquette classes. And if you're done eating, then like you cross your utensils to let
that's fine dining etiquette. I did know that.
Okay.
There's like a whole spreadsheet that Kevin probably also made, and it's like there's like 6 plates. And there's various ways that you place your utensils, and it says different things to the servers. And maybe like the highest end servers in Atlanta know what it is.
Yeah, all 6 of them.
Yeah,
right?
all 6 of them. Yeah. They probably have like sommelier certification.
So they're not serving anymore.
No.
So it's all pointless.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they are not handing that down to anybody.
The secrets of fine dining. Oh my God! All right, so getting back to the main. Okay. Oh, all right. So I had the one question that I have for you.
Okay.
Where do you get the energy? I mean, I'm distracted by you saying you have trauma, and that's why you're funny. I would love to address that, but where do you get the energy? Where do you get the enthusiasm? The ambition, or is it desperation? Is it like necessity, the mother of invention type of thing? You
know, I think when the pandemic first hit, it was desperation, honestly, just speaking from the heart. You know, like the jewelry thing, the only reason I added like a physical, quote unquote, boutique part of my salon was because I was shut down for 3 months. You know, I had nothing to do. And at that point, I had only been a business owner for like 4 months, and then the world shut down.
Yeah.
And so, and that was like my baby, right? Like this is what I put all my money into. I worked 3 jobs while working at another salon just to save up for it.
Wow.
And so, you know, it's like all of a sudden you can't have it because it's not safe. And so I was like, all right.
Tell me about it.
Right. And so I was sitting there on my couch staring at my cat, and then I went back to the 50,000th YouTube video that I was stuck on. I went down this rabbit hole, as we do, and I had come across this resin maker, someone who uses resin for art, and she was doing the thing, like I'm sure you've seen it, where it's like these giant pieces of resin, right? And they trap things in it, and then it just stays there forever. Yeah. And I have a mild obsession with floral things, and so I was like, I wonder what would happen if I put flowers in resin. And there it was. And so it just started off as like a desperate attempt to occupy my time, and it turned into my friends telling me that they love my jewelry, and then that became a part of my business. And then, you know, as far as it goes for the energy when I come home after that, at the end of the day, you know, I have been a musician my whole life. And honestly, I started doing comedy because I went through some traumatic things during my childhood. I was an emancipated minor. There was a lot of things that I went through that kind of pushed me away from music, even though it was my first love, I like to tell people. And so when I was 25, 26 almost, I started doing comedy at the Basement Theater. It started with just going to shows, and then I was curious about like auditing things. I audited at Dad's Garage and stuff like that. And it just kind of learning about improv and the world of improv like boosted my confidence like crazy. And so I don't know, it became less about the energy and more about the feeling that I had. Because, I mean, I was tired the nights I would go and stay out late doing comedy shows. Yeah. And especially now that I'm a business owner, I was still doing comedy when I first started my salon before the world shut down. And it more became me wanting to stop limiting myself by just the, you know, people are always, this is not the first time I've been asked this question. It's like, where do you get the energy? Where do you find the time? And I believe people make time for what makes them happy, whether you're tired or not. You know, you'll find time to sleep. It'll come. Yeah. So it started with desperation when the pandemic started. And I was just desperately trying to fill up my time with anything that I could. And that came from the decision that I made with comedy to not limit myself. I was not willing to let myself sit and be stagnant and be in that victim mentality that a lot of people found themselves in when the pandemic started.
Do you ever run into any type of like mental roadblocks?
Sure, you know, you get artist blocks.
Yeah.
It happens.
And how do you get out of them?
I try my hardest to find inspiration in everything. And that can be as simple as going on a walk and watching people. That can be as simple as a friend telling me something they've achieved. That can be as simple as seeing a cute picture of a porcupine on Instagram. Okay. You know, I try to be as open and vulnerable as possible, honestly, every day of my life. Yeah. And when I find myself in that artist block, I seek out things that makes me feel good. Because I do believe art comes from how you feel. And if you can find even the smallest thing to feel grateful for, to find joy from, you'll re-energize yourself. Because a lot of those artist blocks do come from burnout or doing too much or not sleeping enough, not eating enough. So if you just find a way to balance yourself and find that time to actually focus on something outward of yourself, sometimes inward, you know, yeah. Maybe you need to sit down and chill out and just, you know, read a book. But yeah,
which we all should be doing these days.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's very good to know, because I get very frustrated and I can't. I get stuck and I can't shake out of it, and I keep coming up with these ideas, and it's like, no, I can't do that because it doesn't work.
Oh, but why, though? I don't like the word can't.
Well, it's not because of me. Because I don't know. Let's blame somebody else, right? Sure. It's because you don't have money, because you can't get other people to help you out. Like you.
Some of a couple of the best sketches that I've put on YouTube or filmed or whatever, I had no plan. I had an idea. I had a phone that could record things.
Right.
And to me, the word can't or I don't have or it won't aren't in my vocabulary. I came from nothing. You know, I like I said, I was on my own at 15, and here I am under 30 with my own business. And to me, the phrases "I can't," "it won't," "I'll fail," all of those fall under the victim mentality. And it's really, everybody does it. It's a very common mentality to have, and it can be something as simple as I don't have the savings for this, People say that all the time. But one thing that I have tried to express to others when they ask me questions like this is, if you really want it, you should take it and you'll figure out how to support it because you have to. If it gives you even the slightest bit of joy, just do it and you'll figure it out because you'll have to. And that was like my salon. I had barely any savings. I had all the jobs that I was working, which got me by. It got me a down payment. But it's not like I went in with like a $10,000 loan.
Yeah.
I literally had what I could save up with my little side gigs, which wasn't a lot. And that got me in the door. And then I was like, well, here I am.
Okay.
And it's just how it is.
Did you buy your own the studio? What do you call it? A studio?
It's like a studio. Yeah. It's the way it works is kind of like WeWork.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it gives small business owners a chance to have a small business without the commercial mortgage.
Okay. So you're like renting.
Yeah, it's a lease.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And do you yourself rent out to other people? Because I think isn't that what they do with barbershops and?
You can. I only have one chair though.
Okay.
So it's just me.
Gotcha. Cool. And what about comedy? You do improv?
Before the pandemic, yeah. I've seen like all these cool comedy shows where people have been doing improv behind the camera. But again, that kind of goes back to like it's difficult to do that without the instant gratification.
I hate it so much.
It's hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I did like Aaron Shore. He does that cinematic improv stuff, and
bless his heart, he runs the Mining for Gold jam.
Yeah.
Which I think is where we met.
Yes.
Yeah.
The real one. The in-person one.
The in-person one. Yeah. And bless God, I'm amazed. I'm so grateful that he keeps running it, and I hope we get it back in person at some point. Yeah. It kind of became very emotional for me.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people were emotionally invested in that kind of stuff.
So I'll watch it. I'll sneak in and watch every so often.
Yeah.
I struggle with performing in it.
Yeah, that's about where I am. I'll watch Rodney's Monday night comedy. I'll watch Aaron's stuff. But it's like lurking, because the one time I tried to do it, I just felt cringy. Like, it just felt like, what am I doing? Because you're sitting there talking to yourself, even though you are talking to these other people. But what fuels you is the energy from the other people, is the energy from the people you're trying to entertain.
Right. Yeah. No, and I rely so much on the energy from the other person that I'm performing with, getting the instant reaction from people.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's.
Improv is kind of emotional, when you're connecting with your partner on the stage. Yeah. It's honestly, again, it all stems from vulnerability. That's my favorite word.
Okay.
When you're on stage with someone, eye contact, their physical movements.
What does that mean to you?
What?
That word I can't pronounce.
Vulnerability, what does it mean to me?
Yeah.
The ability to absolutely let go and to not carry expectations in any situation or interaction that you're in.
Okay.
Because to me, what creates failure and disappointment is an expectation. And when you're just vulnerable and you're living moment to moment, just being your true authentic self, not really trying to gain anything, not trying to impress anyone, just doing what you do, that's where you lose the disappointment and you gain the ability to just do and create.
And you're not able to be in the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is so hard for me.
Well, it comes from perfectionists are that way.
Right. Yeah. No, and I plan out, like when I was a little kid, I played a lot of chess.
Yeah.
So I'm always constantly analyzing all the moves. You know, do I go this way? Do I go this other way? What do I do? What should I not do?
Sure, yeah.
And that I guess that gives me, what do they call that? Analysis paralysis?
I never heard that, but I like that.
Yeah. And there's some other term for it, too, that's also very good.
I get that way, too. I mean, it's like I said, it's harder to be vulnerable than the opposite.
Yeah.
But if you can get yourself to that place of just absolutely letting go and getting out of your head, you can accomplish 10 times more.
Absolutely. That's very good. Man, you're really making me miss improv.
It's great.
So, did you ever do stand-up?
Yeah, I did a few open mics. I wasn't like booked on any shows. I was technically like a guest on Filibusters once. But that was probably the only one that was relatively close to being booked.
Right.
I was in Bob's group. So I was on one of those shows.
Is that the People Garden?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
Are you going to be here in a week or two? Are you still in the group?
Oh, well, no, I'm not in the group anymore.
Oh, okay. Did they cut you? Did you cut yourself?
No, so it was a little strange because the way he did his class, there was a lot of people. Okay. And so it kind of got a little hairy, and he decided that it was too many people to try and depend on people actually wanting to be on shows. So he took it from that open concept, which he did for a long time, to a more closed and exclusive concept like most theaters do. And so they like handpicked people.
Right. Yeah. Which I'm afraid I might have to do. But it's, the idea, I don't want to call this a theater. I call it a studio, and I want people to come in and be like, hey, I want to do a show. Okay, sure. Sure. Give me some money so I can pay the bills.
Yeah.
And you can do all the shows you want.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that business model is profitable enough.
I don't think it's profitable, based off of what, I've heard Bob talk about. It's more of you trying to appreciate the art in that situation than actually make money, which was also, I'm pretty sure, a huge reason why he decided to become more exclusive, because it wasn't as profitable.
Okay. As long as I can pay the bills, I'm happy.
That's all that matters. It's a much smaller space than Relapse was, though. So.
Right. That got baked into the equation when I started this place.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting to be out for, it's been, 10 months now?
A long time.
Yeah. So we'll see. And sketches. You've been doing, do you do TikTok?
So I downloaded the TikTok in 2020. And so I've uploaded some things there, but my sketches are on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook, technically. I
love the little girl. I've seen a few with the.
Everybody loved that one. And then I wrote an original parody song, and I made a sketch about COVID-19. It's called "Part of Your COVID."
Okay.
So that was the most recent one that I put up, and that was fueled by the fact that a client gave me COVID-19.
I remember reading a post about it. You seem pretty mad.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole situation. So I got it out through comedy.
Are they permanently banned?
Oh yes. Yes. Their number is blocked. Their email is blocked. They are blocked from my website. They are not allowed to return to my salon.
I know I'm not perfect, but Jesus, just some of these things that people say and do.
I mean, it's a whole thing where it's like at the beginning of the when the shutdown ended, the mandated shutdown, me and many of my peers were so baffled why salons were the first thing to be opened. You know, don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's my bill payer.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, look at us here 10 months later. It's still bad. Hospitals are still full. And for some reason, when it was at its worst, something that is impossible to be 6 feet away from someone, you want them to be open first.
Yeah.
And, you know, that all like stems down into the fact that because of the way we have to file our taxes, we're considered the poor. Our taxes are done very differently.
Who are we?
Hairdressers.
Oh, hairdressers.
Yes. Yeah, so it's like a part of the reason why cosmetologists and salons were open first is because we were pulling a lot of unemployment because we're considered low income.
This is the shit that you don't think about until somebody like you mentions it. At least for me.
For sure, yeah. And it's just because of how we have to file our taxes.
Oh my God, I had never thought about that.
Yep. And then I heard bowling alleys were on the top of the list as well because someone in the Trump administration had stocks.
Don't get me started on Trump. You know, things have been so great.
Yeah, so good.
After the riot, I don't know since when, but don't get me started on.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
On Crazy Train. Oh my, do you trust that person? Because this could be, you know, fake news. This could be.
Oh yeah. You can look it up. Stockholders holdership is free information.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't tell you like the details. It's kind of like being able to see online whether someone voted Republican or Democrat.
I gotta look that up.
Actually, I don't think the voting thing is that in depth. You can see that they voted or not, but you can't see what they voted for.
True.
Yeah, but still, that's public information. A lot of people don't know that either.
Yeah, and that's why you keep getting all these texts and phone calls, and even though it's like, oh, we got notice that you haven't voted, and I'm like, sucks to be you because I did vote last week. You know. Okay, so, yeah, cool. I did run out of questions.
I got you distracted with the trauma thing.
we covered too much at first before the intro. Oh my God. Do you want to talk about anything? I don't know what.
You know, I do want to talk about like how do people generally feel about watching comedy shows online? You know, like, because as you know, you perform and I perform, and so we know how it feels to be on a camera without any laughter or energy whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I wonder how someone who doesn't have like any comedy training under their belt or have all they do is attend comedy shows. Like when they had to make that transition from going to a bar and drinking a lot to sitting on their couch stone sober to watch a comedy show, how does that make them feel, you know? Like, I really want to know what the answer to that question is.
Huh. And why are you asking me?
I'm really just talking like, look, this is word vomit at this point.
No, I didn't really run out of questions, but that is a very interesting thing you bring up. Because I started, I'm 44 now. I started performing maybe 39 and a half, 40.
Sure.
And I've always been like a comedy nerd.
Yeah.
I've watched so many shows and movies, and that's, I guess, what I have always gravitated towards. And I don't know, I always just kind of got busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, well, there's no money in it. I'm funny in small groups, but it's not. I don't know. I can think of one person I could ask.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not here, but.
We'll have to reconvene. There will have to be a part two.
Let's put that on the list and do some research, because.
Well, that's kind of why I don't do stand-up, you know, because to me there's too much static if you're not perfectly practiced with your delivery. You know, you're up on the stage, and as a singular comic, you're in charge of creating the energy. Like, that's your job. That's the whole point.
Right.
And that's why, you know, like I said before, I've done like open mics and stuff like that. And I guess filibusters is technically stand up, but it's also improvised. So it's a little easier. But to me, like, you have this like set of things that you think is hilarious. Because when I write things, I'm sitting there laughing for 20 minutes at a time. And then when you actually say it out loud and your energy wasn't right, you know, people just kind of like.
So, okay, so there's something, and I don't, now that I think about it, I can't see much of a difference between singing and doing stand-up.
I suppose so. I think that's a little different. Just being someone who's done music my whole life. When it comes to music, it's very similar if it's like an a cappella situation where you are the singular voice and noise of the situation. But have you ever heard of music theory?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that. Does music theory, like, is that like an advisor letting you know this is crap or this is not crap?
I mean, kind of. Music theory is just science, you know. And I have a bachelor's degree, and my understudy was music theory. Yeah. My minor, and the science behind it is when you have all of these instruments, sounds, and vibrations, your brain is constantly being stimulated. So there's constantly an energy in the room. Okay. And, you know, especially when you have a singular singer, like some people have their pre-recorded music and then they just sing it on stage in a live situation, right? Yeah. And still, even though it is that one person with the pre-recorded music, there's still stimulating sound that's happening. And so one of the core things of the science behind music theory is you have the very core of music and vibration, which is theta and gamma waves, right? And so that is like the core of sound, and that stimulates your brain at all times.
You lost me at theta and gamma rays and waves.
Yeah, so it's just a constant stimulation. So there's a constant flow of energy. Whereas when you are just a singular comic with no noise. Yeah.
Okay, it's right. So you're talking, and there's not a constant amount of stimulation. Yeah. Well, there is that one secret about comedy. You know what it is?
What?
Timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the interrupting cow.
I would have reacted better to that if Bob Wooden hadn't have overused that way too many times.
Has he done that joke?
Yes.
I thought I just came up with it.
No, Kevin sent it out on the fax machine. That's
God damn it. Fucking Kevin. Okay, so that's one of the things that I worry about. I keep coming up with all these jokes for either like a sketch or stand up or whatever, and then I'm working on it, and it's like, crap, I saw that on Key and Peele, or I saw that on SNL, or I saw that other thing, or wait, is that? No, that's a George Carlin joke. And so that stops me. That just like,
Why though? You know, all art is inspired by something.
There's also that what's that expression? Like, good art borrows, great art steals?
Yeah. I've never heard that saying, but that's a good saying.
That's what I've heard. And so many great movies, it's like, well, that's a retelling of this Shakespeare.
Sure, I mean, a lot of good art is regurgitated and altered in some way.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like with stand-up, if you're telling the exact same joke. I don't know, that seems to be a big deal with stand-up.
I don't know. I obviously you want original content, but everything starts out regurgitated before you find your flow.
Everything's been done already.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything has been done already, and then you find your flow where you deliver it a little differently because of your own past, or you deliver it a little differently because nobody's mind is the same. You know, your energy is a little different. But in my opinion, and we go back to that, there's perfection in that imperfection, right? You don't want to overthink that so much, especially when you're first starting, because I did that. I'd be sitting there writing comedy at a comedy show, and I'm like, I literally just heard this joke. I don't know. I like that. The person up on the stage just said that. That's why I'm writing it down, you know? But when something is inspiring, especially in comedy, you want to retell it. It's like a bard, right? You want to retell it. You
like
want
a what?
A bard. Bards retell stories.
I don't know what that is.
like old English, like Monty Python. You've got a bard.
Oh, okay.
Like.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Not like a jester, but
yeah.
Is it the guy with the guitar?
Yeah, he has the guitar. Like.
Okay. I'm claiming second language privilege on this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You've always got the bard, and the bard retells the story, and every bard retells the same story in a different way.
Gotcha. Like the 4 books in the Bible about Jesus, Mark, Luke, and the other 2. John and Ringo.
Sure.
It's yeah. Okay. It's been a while.
Well, also, and another good example is music. A lot of people start out by making cover songs. Songs already been done, but they added their own flair to it.
Yeah.
And then people are like, hey, I kind of fuck with your sound a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to like collaborate and we can make something fresh?
True.
Like that's how it starts.
Don't you worry about one day just running out of music? Not you, but like, I don't know, the world?
I don't think that's possible.
There's only so many chords. Mathematically, there's going to be a limit. And if you go with music theory, I would imagine music theory knocks out, 60%?
I guess if you're looking at it from a mathematical standpoint, but also looking at it from a mathematical standpoint, there are an infinite amount of combinations to a sound. Like the combinations never end. There's always, your thing went off. There's always
my camera, everybody.
It just like blinked at me, and I was like, "Oh Jesus!" There's an infinite amount of combinations and possibilities. Nothing is impossible; it's just improbable. So there's a really cool. This is fresh on my mind, which is why I'm bringing it up. There's this really cool Instagram account called Dust to Digital.
Okay.
And so basically what they do is they kind of repost really old vintage singers, songwriters, music theory, like all this stuff, music history.
Yeah.
And so I just saw a video this morning. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he was a musical mathematician.
Okay.
And so it was when all of the soundboards, like the first soundboards came out. They were gigantic, just like the computer used to be. And he was going over how all of these sounds may be a bass sound, and there's a finite amount of these sounds. But he was expressing, like showing you how you can turn these 4 singular sounds and turn it into one sound. There's just an infinite number of possibilities. And a lot of experimental bands, especially like local indie bands, sometimes they don't even use an instrument. One of my friends is a drummer in a band called Small Reactions, and they literally are banging on a filing cabinet in one of their songs.
Okay. Yeah.
There's just an infinite number of possibilities to create music. And music is just noise.
Right. Especially if you listen to Beck.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
Man. Yeah. No, I love Beck. He's fantastic. I was saying that because also, like, I read the other day about some lawyers that copyrighted all kinds of I forget what the term is, notes, or like they digitized all these types of notes and chords, perhaps.
Okay.
And they submitted that to the patent office, and then they gave like a public license. And I know I'm not using all the right terms, so that nobody can copyright music that hasn't been created yet.
Oh, okay. I don't think you should be able to copyright music, personally.
Well, there's, but they do, right?
Yeah, I do. That's just my personal opinion. Like, there's like a progression of chords that can be copyrighted, like that make a particular sound, for example. And that goes back to what I'm saying is, like, you can create a multitude of sounds. So like certain bands, they have copyrighted that progression of chords that makes their song, which I get copywriting that, but I don't think art should be copyrighted. I think it should just be, you should be given credit for it.
True. Yeah. It can be so messy.
It can be.
Because, like, I've been looking into creating more YouTube videos, and, like, if you have something in the background.
And it can be so quiet.
It can be quiet. It can just be, if it's like a video, something showing on the TV, just for a few seconds, you can get a copyright violation.
Yep.
Or if you, that big famous photograph, the image of Obama.
Yeah.
That, I forget the name of the artist from LA. He took somebody's picture and he added, he made it blue and red and blue. Well, he got sued from the photographer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And and then, like, I'm not taking sides, but it's like, well, the photographer, all he did was just click.
Well, I mean, if he were, like, using the photo, that would be one thing.
But he did use the photo.
As his inspiration, though. Like, it's not the photo. It's not the actual photo.
Where do you draw the line?
Actually, like, claiming the photograph. Like, actually claiming what his inspiration was. That would be drawing the line. But there's a difference between, creating something that's inspired by someone else's art. He took this photo of Obama, right? Yeah. And he turned it into something magical. Like, he made it look so amazing. And, if he didn't credit the original photographer, that would be wrong. But his art is different.
Which he didn't.
Okay, so then that's wrong, for sure.
So, have you heard of that story about, there's some old Greek story about, I don't know if some Greek warrior, or maybe Jason, it might be Jason and the Argonauts.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think the name of the ship is the Argo, and they went out, they had some big fight, and then they came back.
Okay.
Right? A very short version of the story.
Abridged.
Yeah, but that I think they were out from 10 years, something like that, and with time you have to replace a plank. Yeah. They had to replace a mast. So when they came back, all the wood and all the iron had been replaced completely.
Okay.
So the question is, did the same ship that left, is that the ship that came back?
No.
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 When did it stop being the same ship?
When it became a different ship.
All right. So now you're avoiding the question. All right.
I mean, I see your point. I definitely see your point. But I don't know.
I'm not arguing for either way. It's just something you have to consider.
I feel like that is such a nuanced, generic example, though, when it comes down to, like, that's like one of those wives' tales that people tell to make you think about what you actually feel, When it comes down to art is art,
Yeah. Yeah, but art is art, but is it your art or is it somebody else's art?
Well, the photographer didn't do it that way, so it's that person's art. That person came up with that concept, right?
Have you heard of these guys? There's a bunch of apparently a bunch of companies. I'm not going to say from where of companies that whenever they see an image that becomes very popular on the internet, and it's like, oh, I wish I could buy a T-shirt with that image or blah blah blah. They'll take that image, print out a T-shirt, and sell it.
That's wrong. That's art. That's stealing art.
Right. So there's a whole bunch of artists making this art that says this is a parody of Disney, or this is, or not a parody. This is a clear copyright breach of Disney. Please sue us. And then they'll post that out. They'll get some friends to be like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that other thing. So that the T-shirt people get in trouble with Disney. Disney sues them.
Amazing. That's amazing.
I love it so much.
Yes. But see, that's straight up theft.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've seen this argument on the internet for as long as I've been on the internet, at least. It's like so many people get so offended when people do something similar to what they did. Especially like in the days of like Tumblr and all that stuff. It happens on Reddit too. someone comes up with an idea, they do it their way, and then someone's like, that's a really cool idea, so I'm going to try it this way. And the second way got more attention. So this other person's like, no, you stole that from me. Yeah. And it's like, well, no, I didn't, because I did it this way. But, if they, again, like, yes, the idea came from you. So that the first artist would have the absolute right to say, well, if you did get that from me, credit me. Right. And if that person was like, no, then that would be wrong. Like if they gave them if they asked for credit and they said no, that's wrong. Yeah. But the first way and the second way are still completely different ways,
Completely different?
Yeah. Like a photograph, maybe not completely different. Yeah. But I'm just talking about art in general. Like just like this person drew this thing and this person was like, that's cool. I'm going to draw it in my style. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if as long as you have the proper disclaimers.
That's the problem. That's the problem always comes down to the credit. It's like, yes, obviously I got this. This was inspired by so-and-so, but they put absolutely nothing in the description of the item, Mm-hmm. And that's when people start to get butthurt.
Yes.
But then you also have people on the internet who they act like they own something that they copied. And then it just becomes a whole headache.
Oh, my God. Okay, so like the fan art and people writing, yeah. Are you onto Harry Potter? Do you follow?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So apparently, who wrote Harry Potter?
J.K. Rowling.
Thank you. She is a TERF, I think is the word, the term.
Yeah, she's very frowned upon.
Yes. And like there's this obsession with her creation and how people have taken possession of that creation. And the TERF, I can't remember what it stands for. It's like trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Yeah, it's not a good term. It's a bad term.
Right. So people are like, oh my God, these characters have been my whole childhood, and now they're stained, they're tainted. It's like baseballers taking steroids.
Yeah. Well, and I'm pretty sure I don't follow the drama. This is kind of just my recount of the various things that I've put together, seeing in articles.
Yeah, but that's just one flavor of it. There's also all these other people who have taken the Star Wars movies and re-edited them.
Yep.
So that they're better movies and they have better dialect and.
Well, and also, I know some indie artists who have made their own Star Wars movie or Star Wars parodies and stuff, and it's just something where it's such a dangerous territory to be in because there are parody laws, like there are laws that protect people who do stuff like that.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's just so messy because it comes down to the nuance that you're getting me on, because their highly paid lawyers will also do the same thing.
True. All right. So moving on. I don't want to ask you about the actual trauma.
Okay.
But I do want to ask you how that flavors your comedy.
How it flavors my comedy.
Well, that's my term. I don't know. How would you?
So it's funny.
I see a woman and I think cooking, right?
Oh. No, it's a common joke, I feel.
Yeah. Hold on. That is a joke. It's purely a joke. I don't want to hear direct messages. I know I shouldn't be joking about that. I do get in trouble because of that, and that's another thing that stops me. From doing stand-up and things. But anyhow.
Goes back to the clean argument.
Yes.
So, what was I saying? Oh, yes. How does it flavor my comedy? Something that, at least in my circle of friends, that is commonly said is the more trauma you have, the funnier you are, because you're better at self-deprecating. And self-deprecating might be the lowest form of comedy, but it is the funniest. And so,
okay, is that something that David came up with?
Who's that? Who's that?
David with his faxes.
Kevin. It's Kevin.
God damn it. I get the Kroger brand of faxes from David.
Kevin is Publix. David is Kroger. No, that's something I heard from Bob Wood actually, is about the self-deprecation. But it's true. When comics bomb, they start to self-deprecate. If you've ever noticed, a joke doesn't quite land, so they start making fun of themselves, and it makes people laugh because you can physically see someone. Yeah. They start making fun of their own physical appearance. You're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
But no, my trauma. There's various things that happened in my life that led to emancipation. It led to a 6.5-month miscarriage at 20. A lot of things that just kind of built up in life.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that I believed for a long time limited me. And, it's holding on to those attachments where if this is my upbringing, if this is my past, then I have to live through that. That's the same reason a lot of people stay in the same dead-end job for their whole lives, Yeah. And so instead of letting that trauma hold me in place and keep me stuck, I use everything that's ever happened to me bad as a way to energize me and fuel me. It's like, well, I never want to go back to that kind of trauma. So instead, I'll just keep moving forward.
I think the trauma that I've had, it's pretty vanilla.
Okay.
Right? I hate to use the word trauma, but like we've all had difficulties, right?
Everybody has trauma.
Yeah.
And everybody's trauma is validated.
Right. Just because it's not as bad or serious as yours doesn't negate how I feel about it, right? Yeah, but I guess with me, I don't know. I guess what I've learned from it is that nothing really matters in a way.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
It's just like, we get over things. Life goes on. A joke is a joke. It's just words. It's not sticks and stones.
Yeah. I mean, well, and that goes for anything.
Yeah.
I always tell people, especially my clients with kids, comedy is such a great way for a prepubescent child or someone going through puberty. It's such a good way for them to learn that it doesn't matter and everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent.
So much is so important.
I mean,
in those years, right?
Seriously. I did theater when I was that age, so that helped me a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too. Those kids were stuck up. Everybody's always like the preps are the stuck up ones, but you don't think that when you've been around theater kids. But yeah, learning that lesson early on will help you for sure, and I learned that lesson early on just because I had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
So nothing is permanent. That's my best advice I can give to most people.
This might be a conversation killer, but do you follow Kellyanne Conway and her husband at all?
No.
No? Okay, well, never mind. It's Kellyanne is a Trump crony. Her husband is also like a big, heavy conservative.
I think anybody with two names like that is probably
all the people
crony.
With two names. Like what? Like Sarah Ray, you mean?
Well, Ray is my middle name. I voluntarily put that in there.
Okay.
People who were named Kellyanne, without the separation in their name, those are Trump cronies.
Okay. All right. It's I was thinking about like serial killers, and they always have like three, first, middle,
three first names.
Two first, three names, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyhow, no, Kellyanne and her husband, she's a Trumpist. He's so anti-Trump. He's a never Trumper. And then their kid hates both of them and is trying to get emancipated.
Okay.
She's like 16.
Okay.
It's okay. It is a conversation killer. Let's move on.
Well, so what was like? Is it like
I don't know. I was just wondering if you follow that saga.
No.
No. All right. Well.
But I wish her luck, because having a Trumper as a mother and trying to get emancipated, good luck with that.
Yeah. and ATLien is one of those Trumpers that used to say all kinds of stinky things about Trump when I think she was working for Ted Cruz.
Oh.
In his campaign.
Okay.
Yeah, another prize pig there.
There's a lot of hypocrisy in that family.
Jesus.
Well, I wish that girl some luck,
Yeah.
Being a lady and also the child of a bigot is going to be difficult.
Poor girl. Anyhow.
Moving on.
What do you see in the future? What's in store for you? Is comedy coming back?
Yeah, for sure. That's not something I ever want to let go of. Like I said, comedy helped me find my confidence again and move past my trauma. I was in such a stuck place for a long time. So comedy has a very special place in my heart. Yeah. It's what put me back on a stage after many years. And so I do, like, when it's safe to do things, I definitely want to come back to places. And, with vaccines coming out, I think that's going to be possible sooner than we think.
Yeah.
One of the things I miss more than anything is live music, and I think that's farther away than comedy is. But, we'll get there. So comedy, yes, for sure. I want to keep doing it when we can.
Yeah.
I'm not into the online stuff, so I'll just keep lurking with that.
Okay.
It's just too cringy.
I haven't heard you say anything about musical comedy.
Well, so I did my sketch. I made an original song.
Okay. I haven't seen the sketch. I
think it was hilarious.
All right. Okay.
But you can look it up. It's called Part of Your COVID.
Okay. And we'll have the information in the description.
Yeah.
Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff.
But ultimately, all of that is just going to be, just keeping me sane kind of stuff. I had an expectation of where my 2021 was going to go in 2020 because I had not been signed onto my record label yet.
Yeah.
And then I was signed onto a record label in 2021, which was totally unexpected. So honestly, 2021 is looking like music for me. Which I'm super proud of, and it makes me so excited to be able to say that because I was planning on expanding my salon, but that's actually probably going to take a back burner, which I didn't expect at all. And so that just, that's part of the whole thing where vulnerability is key. Go with the flow. Nothing's permanent. Don't have any kind of expectations because anything can happen. And so, I got signed with Bentley Records, and I came out with my first single, Dancing Sun, which is also available for listening. And then at the end of February, I will be releasing my first 3-song EP.
That's fantastic.
And the EP is called Brand New Eyes.
Yeah. And that's passive income.
Yeah.
You can go back to cutting hair.
Yeah,
and still.
I can do both.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sarah Ray, thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
I definitely want to have you over.
Awesome.
It's later on. Yeah, thanks. Thanks everybody for listening. Follow Sarah Ray. We'll put her links in the description. Go get a haircut. Is it men and unisex or just women?
Yeah, I do everybody.
Yeah. She'll cut your hair. She'll clothe you. She'll feed you.
I'll serenade you.
If you're one of those people that gets stressed out about getting a haircut, she'll sing to you.
It's music therapy.
Yeah. Just wear your fucking mask.
Just wear a mask. You will be turned away so fast.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.